Hi, this is Diana of Be4STEM, and we're here today for our live activity demonstration on our measurement. And that goes along with book 1. Here's the activity that's in our activity kit that goes with book 1. And I've done a preview video so you can see how the activity that goes with that book works before. And I'll show you again today. And it is conducted by the 2 members of our crew, Amit and Erica. Erica is the explorer who loves to do experiments. Amit is the one who likes to solve problems and help people. And that goes so well with our lesson for today. So if you'll zoom in with me down here, I'll give you an example of another way that you could do the lesson. In the activity kit, you receive our test tube rack with a number of items in it, and this is the setup that we use. In each of those tiny spaces in the center, you measure small amounts of water to simulate how many drops it would take to fill all of them, and then you figure out which of those is the one that fits in the grid that goes along with the shelf that Erica is trying to fill to win a contest. Now, another way that you could do this is with tiny cups. You can have students take the cups and measure the number of drops or teaspoons or small beakers into each cup, and which one is the smallest. There's a tiny little dollhouse cup that you might want to use, and to fill that, have them guess how many drops it would take and count along with you, or have them do it themselves. And right now, guess, how many drops would it take to fill that tiny cup? Well, let's try it. It would take 1, 2, 3. And if you got a bubble, you can reverse engineer that out of there by pressing and releasing to pull it out, and it takes usually about 3 drops from a pipette. As you can see, all these are simple materials that you can gather every day, and the other thing that's great about them is you can start teaching younger students to measure in the bathtub when they're 2 or 3. That's how we've always done it, and it works great because then they can solve problems and extend this to other kind of examples you want to use. So I hope you'll have fun with that and try our activity kit out. Now let's zoom back out again, and we'll talk about another activity that I've just come up with that will be in our next activity kit. And this one goes along with our career of the week, which is hydrology. Measurement of water is one of the things that's just about the easiest thing to do in the classroom or in the field for what we call our environmental scientists, who are out there every day trying to solve problems in the environment. And one of the major ones we have in our world today on Earth is flooding or drought. So when we're trying to measure, you can put together a simple experiment to teach students what it would be like to be a hydrologist. Let's zoom in on this for a minute. So this little tray is set up with some water, and I'm going to grab another pipette out of our toolkit, test tube rack, and show you what I've put out. This is magic sand, and magic sand, if you recall, has the quality of if you take 1 drop of it and roll it off, woo, it won't mix with anything. So we can use it to simulate rock, soil, land, sand, and we do that in some other experiments, but today we're going to do it. I took some just samples of rock and built a little square area to experiment on. Then I took a tiny spoon and moved around an area that would simulate a lake. Now let's say we had a flood and the lake overflowed and was flooding the farmland where we need to grow crops. The hydrologist's job is to try to come in and figure out how they could develop irrigation patterns or paths to take that water away and reverse that situation. If we have a drought, how can we build irrigation systems to the crops from the lake to use some of that water before it evaporates to water our crops? So let's pretend either way this is what we're going to do. You can use those tiny spoons. You can also use to smooth out the land. You can use tiny straws. You can use popsicle sticks, depressors, something that will fill it in. Now, let's take a few drops and see if we can create a little lake. I'm tilting this, but just to do a little bit will help you see. So here we have the simulation of a lake. And now these crops over here, this corn is getting really dry. How can we bring some water? If we build an irrigation path and let the water run down the irrigation path from the lake. Let's see if that will work. When it rains, will the water go down there? If we put it down on the ground, it'll start to run down because gravity will pull it along the path of least resistance. And that's what hydrologists measure. So you can see how this would work. There you go. We've got some, if it's laying straight, that would really work. And hydrologists can design irrigation patterns to help from either drought or flooding. So I hope you'll enjoy that and try that out and look forward to our next activity kit. In the meantime, thank you for joining us today. And if you will leave me a brief message about what you thought of these two activities at the bottom of your screen, then I will be sending you via email. I can send you a digital copy of our coloring book, which shows some of the careers that each of our crew members might want to do. And you can share those with your students and build conversation with them. So thanks again. And if you will, please go to our website and like us and follow us on Facebook and Teacher Pay Teacher, because that's where all these new lessons will be found for you very reasonably. And we had a great time here. I hope you did there. Nice to see you. See you again soon.